This particular female maybe just doesn't balance up quite ladylike enough to compete out here, but there's a lot of breeding value in that particular female. The chocolate heifer that comes out next has a neat look about her. She's probably maybe just on the edge for me from maybe looking just a shade more terminal in her design. As you study her body type and out of her hip, we got to change the posture of her front shoulder, the set of her knee. She'll get to quivering on us there just a bit. We got to set it back onto her body, give her a little more slope and angle up there. There's some neat pieces about that heifer. Maybe just one that doesn't balance up quite as well. Maybe just not really my speed. The heifer to come out next, the Baldy, one that is a little more refined, a little more ladylike. She gets a little tentative in terms of her movement and the way she grabs the ground behind. Needs to have more structural stoutness as well. The next heifer does have a bit more to her. I like her midrib. I like her flank. Starting to shake down a nice udder as well. A little too plain and just general from the side. And the heifer that closed the class has a good outline to her. We just got to facilitate her with a little more body depth and intensify her from a stoutness perspective to get her up any higher in the class. Good set of females, a lot of different types and kinds.
Well, congratulations in the SimGenetics ring results out of Class 10-13 Summer Yearling Heifers. First place, exhibited by Macy Idol with SKSW, Something About Foxy. Second place, and congratulations will go to Ava Marino. Third place went to Kylie Berg. Fourth place, exhibited by Devonta Rarick. Fifth place, Kyle Reed. Sixth place, Alicia Lane. Seventh place, Mackenzie Umana, and eighth place exhibited by Charlotte Smithson. Now in the Simmental ring is SimGenetics Class 10-14 Junior Yearling Heifers.
In the Angus show on our February heifers, first place to Troy Heath, second to Connor London, third to David Bell, fourth to Chad Haskamp, fifth to Michaela Sugg. In this class, entry 3549 is a scratch.
Well, first off, I apologize that last class. I think I called them Marches when we were in that February lineup. And as we step into some Januaries here, I think a real heater just to go ahead and work her way to the top pretty quickly for me. I like the substance. I like the bone. I like the mass in this female. She balances good in terms of her rib shape, from her depth of forerib back to a soft rear rib and flank. You get in behind her, there's some real dimension, some real power, some real muscle in this female. And yet she still couples it really, really well when you ask her to go. Just an easy place for me to go ahead and lead off with. The next best structured animal in the group is the young lady's heifer coming in too. I like those things about her. She's fluid, she's comfortable, she's athletic, her angles are correct. You know, she just maybe doesn't have the power, the mass, the substance that we see in our class winner, but that one's built well. She could win several classes out here today, just run into some tough competition there on the top end of this particular drive. The young lady's heifer going to come next. From her shoulders back, she's got body, she's got rib, she's got some length of hip. I like her out of her hip and hind leg, but for me, she's just too open, too straight in her shoulder, a little weak there in behind it, just doesn't maybe balance up as well right behind that shoulder and down through that forerib as the pair that goes out ahead of her. And then our young lady's female that we're going to conclude the class, another one that's not lacking for rib shape and depth of body. She does have those things in her favor. Out here today, though, she's just too straight, too uncoordinated as she goes when you get her out on the move, but a nice class, a real good one there to go ahead and lead off with. Congratulations to all of them.
In our January Angus heifers, first place to entry exhibited by Tim Schaefer Show Cattle, second to Amberlyn Christianberry, third to Highway Meadows Farm, fourth to Chad Haskamp. We are now ready for the selection of our champion junior heifer calf. And while we do have a moment, we want to say a special thank you to EMM Sales and Service. They have a trailer down here that we will be presenting to some lucky exhibitor here later on this week. And also they have a check for $1,000 for the Supreme Bull. And we say thank you to Umbarger Feeds, Campbell Land and Cattle, and Schaefer Show Cattle for being our webcast sponsors today. Our Angus sponsors, Taggart Cattle Company, Sunrise Sunset Farm, Pennsylvania Junior Angus Association, Weaver Show Cattle, Fred and Tammy Weaver, Endless Mountain Angus, the Trowbridge family, JDH Cattle Company, John and Joanne Hausner, Stem Show Cattle, J.H. Kiefer, Early Y. Acres, the Derek Horting family, Heath Cattle Company, Chet Hughes, Fessler Show Cattle. We say thank you to them for being our sponsors here at the Angus Show today.
Another good set of females over here in the low semi side, and a good heifer to lead off the class. Really like the refinement and the attractiveness this heifer has. Has a tremendous bend and give to her hind leg and a really good silhouette. Get up on top of this heifer. She's got something to her as well. You know, again, you're going to nitpick her on one thing, or some will. And I personally, she does have a little chest, but look at the refinement of neck that she has. My good friend Jack Ward talked about this last year to show that I watched him judge. We've taken the chest thing too far, in my opinion. She does have a little chest, but it'll melt right off. First lactation. How about all the good that heifer has as you look behind her? Again, that's a really nice female that I think kind of commands first in this class. Good kind of cattle, one that's got a good running gear. She's still very fresh, very feminine. Just a really good one there to lead off the class. Big-bodied, easy-keeping heifer to come in second. I like the rib and the volume this heifer has. Very powerful in her construction. I love her density of design as well. She gets a little straighter off the edge of her shoulder. Doesn't move with quite the comfortability we find in the heifer that wins this particular class. But there's a nice one, though, in terms of body depth, stoutness, proportionality. All those things fit together really good on that heifer. She's a very nice female as well. Good heifer in third. Probably a shade fresher even than the heifer that goes right ahead of her. A little more refined in terms of her bone work. Wants to get up underneath of herself just a bit when you ask her to get out and go. The deciding factor for me is that heifer just not built with enough width, not built with enough stoutness as you get on top of the cattle to get around those two buzzsaws there that beat her in the class. But a very good trio of heifers. This young man's 6. He's doing a really good job with his heifer. She's one that's very powerful, very dimensional, very stout. I commend the parents. I have a 6-year-old. He would be everywhere but with his heifer, so that's good. He's a little tighter in her top, a little rounder in her muscle pattern, but a good kind of project there for him to kind of build on. This heifer's a high-quality female. She's moderate, sensibly sized, easy keeping in her design, kind that'll keep you in business. She just runs out of the extras in relation to the rest of the cattle in the class, but she's really solid in terms of her makeup. The red and white heifer is moderate framed, a lot of doability this particular heifer. Got to peel a little bark off of her tree from a condition standpoint, make her a little more feminine. Snip-nosed heifer that closes, one that's got a neat look about her. It's just when we set her in motion, she struggles a bit more for me off either end of her framework. Good class.
Look over here on the Angus side, we get ready to pick your first division here, these heifer calves, and a tremendous lineup, I think, from top to bottom. My hat's off to these exhibitors and these young folks that brought these cattle out here to me, and we'll start with that first class winner. Again, I think a female that just set herself apart in terms of her structure, in terms of her flexibility off of both ends of that skeleton. I love this one's hip and hind leg. I think it's really functional. It's really useful in its kind. Just a lot to like there. You know, there's maybe times compared to some other cattle, you know, I'm not sure if in the end if she's going to maybe have quite the true punch and natural thickness and width of some that stand in behind her, but her structure is always going to keep her in the running out here, and can certainly appreciate those things about her. A lot of the same can be said for the young heifer calf coming out of that March class. You know, as we talked there earlier, she wasn't the biggest, she wasn't the stoutest, but she was the best built. She was the most comfortable at the ground. She was the most collected as you got her out on the go. And I think out here, that's still still holds true. Very flexible, very comfortable when she's asked to lead. You know, there are times she's maybe not quite as square and true when you get right in behind her there as you take her from hock to ground, but it's a very useful hind leg. She's feminine, she's attractive. She too, much like the heifer right in front of her, you know, I don't know if there's going to be enough gas in the tank at the end of the day compared to some. Time will tell, but once again, her structure, her athleticism is always going to keep her there towards the top of that particular class. We get into that third class of February's there, and I think there was a good pair of cattle there on the top end of that. I like this female through her loin, out through her hip, her squareness through her pins, all the same there holds true. You know, as we get her and study her out here today, I think there's times she comes at you and she's maybe wanting to twist just a little bit there out of her front end. I'd like to change the angle to that ever so slightly, but still that one is uniquely built in terms of her rib cage, in terms of her softness through that rear rib and flank. Just love her in terms of that length of hip and athleticism there from behind. Then we get into the January class, and I think one that's just impeccable in terms of bone, in terms of mass, in terms of boldness, and yet still couples it for me with enough look out here today, you know, to tweak her. I'd maybe set her shoulder into her skeleton ever so slightly, but man, she can back it up, because when you get in behind these cattle, she's the big top, the big hip, the big stout featured one that we've got out here in the class. I think this one's really, really unique in her kind for an Angus female. We'll give them another look and get you a champion in reserve. Let's give these guys a nice round of applause.
Nice lineup of these spring yearlings over here in the low semi show, and really I like all four of these heifers extremely well. I think all four of them have a lot of good in them. The red heifer that wins that first class we talked about, still really a fresh, conditioned heifer. Love her substance as you take her to the ground, her foot size and her bone work. She moves well with some athleticism. You know, she's got maybe just a dab of front end like we talked, but it balances well. I think that heifer, her mid-rib and her flank and her top line, that's a very solid kind of a female. Heifer out of the second class we talked about, really like her length of spine, like her refinement, like her femininity, really a loose-made kind of a female in terms of her mid-body, one that's shaken down a nice udder, good hind leg construction. You know, at times we talked about she want to break just a little bit right behind her shoulder, but she's just so loose built and so square in her design. That's a good female. We got two good seconds as well. The Baldy needs to move a little bit better, but I really like her look and her design. Probably handling herself just a bit better than she did in class as we get her out here. And then a really nice second there in our second class that we're going to pull over after we make this heifer division champion and looking for reserves. This young man's going to have our division champion. Good female. Congratulations to him.
Well, congratulations over here in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of your junior yearling division. Your champion exhibited by Brexton Gabriel with TEAG Honeysuckle Rose.
In the Angus show, our champion junior heifer calf is entry 4368, exhibited by Tim Schaefer Show Cattle. And the reserve champion goes to entry number 3917, Troy Heath.
I think it gets really close between these two heifers for reserve in this division, and I realize it's a pretty important selection because obviously being reserve division is a lot different than getting left out, and I understand that, but I think there's a lot of similarities between these two cattle, but at the end of the day, I think there's one of them that moves just a shot better off of her front end. I think she's built just a little stouter. I'm going to give the nod to the red heifer. She's going to be our reserve in this division. Very close placing between those two. Let's give these exhibitors a good round of applause. This is a good division of cattle.
And congratulations, reserve junior yearling heifer coming out of class 1013. That was Macy Idle with SKSW, Something About Roxy. We're now going to bring in class 1017. These are late senior yearling heifers.
nice class of fall borns. I think Novembers and Decembers that we get in here and get to evaluate. And this little heifer here is giving this young lady kind of a handful, but she's hanging in there and fighting through it. Got a good calf. I think here at the top end, we've got a pair of them, for me, that just have a little more style, a little more look, a little more presence about them. And within that pair, the young lady's heifer I'm going to use to start just has a little more natural thickness, a little more bone, a little more true width and dimension from end to end than the one that goes in second. The young lady's heifer here in 2 is really sharp to look at. She's high tying, she's long bodied and long hipped. She too is really, really good at the ground. I love her freshness as well. She get in behind her, she's a little narrower pin, a little flatter in her quarter, not quite as much foot and bone as the one that we used to start, but a nice pair there on the top. As we get into our bottom pair here, the 3 and 4, the young lady's heifer that's going to go third. Again, just a little more comfortable in how she handles that hind leg as she gets out on the go. A little more body, a little more rib in her, a little more just performance, I think, at the end of the day. Appreciate those things about her. She does still get a little plainer than the heifers that go 1 and 2, but a nice heifer there to follow suit. Our one that we're going to conclude the class with has got some shape, I think, relative to her size. She's got some base width and some dimension, just a little too straight, a little too plain, a little lower performing for me out here today, but a good class Angus cattle. Congratulations to them.
In the Angus show, first place to Piper Cates. Second to Remy Gardner, an added entry. Third to Chad Haskamp, and fourth to Endless Mountains Angus Farm.
Get into this junior yearling class here, and a good set of these cattle up and down the line, and a lot of good. And I think each one of these heifers, heifer that wins the class, the highest presented female we've got in the group, and with that, one that's got some extra boldness of body, really like her springer rib, her stoutness, and this heifer, take her to the ground. She's adequate, I think, in the way she gets out and travels. The female's really wide and dimensional in her type and her kind, one that's still got a nice look at this stage of the game from a freshness perspective. Again, we call her comfortable enough as she has to get out and go to win the class. A good female there to lead off. Heifer in second's another nice one. I like her heaviness of structure. She's one that's very athletic in terms of her mobility off either end. She's one that gets a little flatter in her design in relation to the heifer that leads off the class. Probably not quite as extended in the way she's made at the top of her shoulder and the way her neck slings up there, but a really solid female. A lot of doability, a lot of capacity to that heifer. Another nice female. Big burly design female to come out next. I like her rib cage. I like her substance. I like the strength this heifer brings to the table. She gets a little awkward in the way that she drives off of her front end. Like to change her in the way she sits down and just mobilizes there out of her shoulder. But I like that heifer's structural stoutness. I like her substance. She's got something to her. Going to make a good kind of a brood cow when you get her in production. Just need to make her a little more limber. This heifer's a little more refined in her bone work, but I like the sleek design that she's got. She's smooth in her shoulder, got a beautiful udder starting to shake down there. I like to just intensify her a bit in terms of her foot size and her bone work. She probably just runs out of horsepower in relation to the top 3 cattle in this particular group. This one is certainly not shy on power and stoutness, just an ox in terms of rib and volume and mass. It just doesn't all piece together quite as nicely from the side. Need to mash her tail head down in her just a bit, make her just a little more comfortable there off of her rear leg. This one too's got something to her. She's husky built. I like the substance that she's got. Her midrib, her flank are good, really powerful in her construction. She too, we just got to make her a little looser constructed, change that hind leg design just a bit. A really feminine, attractive heifer to close the class. I like the design this heifer has. There's just not enough to her. Simply, you start to measure this one up. She gets a little drier in her center body, up and through her flank. There's some breeding value in this heifer, though. She's got a typey look. Got to see just a little more heifer in this one to get her up. But I like her mobility. I like her foot size. Got to see more cattle there, though, for me to get her up off the end. Still a nice female to close out.
Well, congratulations in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of Class 10-17. First place exhibited by Riley Stockdale with S&S Maine. She's got it. Second place and congratulations will go to Mandy Hurlbert. Third place, Gavin Palmer. Fourth place, James Hicks. Fifth place, Catherine Miller. Sixth place, Cheyenne Arden. Seventh place went to Emily Carter. We're now going to welcome in our final class of SimGenetic females. This is Class 10-18 early senior yearling heifers.
Another good class of falls in our September and October lineup, and a pair of cattle here on the top end. I think just in terms of power, substance, performance, have those advantages within that pair, though. The young man's heifer, to me, is just a little more correct there at the ground as she goes. She's a little squarer and truer up front. She's set back in the angle of that shoulder, a little more ideal for me. And then she's just a little more collected and truer there as she goes from behind and feels that track, one that's really fresh. She's really attractive to go along with all that. There's enough body and enough rib in this female to go ahead and use her to lead off the class with. I like the substance, I like the power, I like the look of the female in 2 in terms of just being easy keeping, easy fleshing, one that I think can generate on down the road. She gets a little shorter necked than maybe the heifer that we used to start with, and as you get her out on the go, she wants to get those hind legs up under herself just a little more than maybe ideal for me, particularly out here today, but a nice pair there to go 1 and 2 in this particular drive. The young lady's heifer coming out in 3. I think just relative to her size, a female that's well built. She's well presented and well balanced out here today. She has some look. She has some athleticism when you ask her to go. Just needs to be a little more of her. She's kind of the short coupled female that just maybe doesn't have the mass, the power, the overall performance of some of the other cattle that even stand on either side of her out here today. The sort lies here with these bottom 4, and I think you can line them up a little different for the right reasons. When this young man gets this heifer parked, I think she gives me a good look. She's got some body, she's got some ribs, she's a little softer in that rear rib and flank than the heifer standing right behind her. I like her as she goes out of that hip and hind leg, but she does read a little plainer, a little harder in her fore rib than maybe some of those other cattle. Not quite as comfortable there out of that front end structure for me out here today. The young lady's heifer coming next, one that's got some muscle shape. She's got some width and some dimension to her when you get in behind these cattle. She gets a little too bold about her shoulder, a little harder in her rib shape, just a little tubular there through that center skeleton for me out here today. The heifer that's coming here next in line, a lot of the same can be said in her, a female that does have some muscle shape. She's got some expression to her when you get in behind these cattle. Appreciate those things about her. She gets a little straighter off of both ends, just not enough softness, not enough rib in this female for me out here today. And then our heifer that we conclude the class with, one that gives you a good look up front. She's long and attractive there through that front 1/3. She's the one that just gets a little out-horsed, a little out-powered in this particular drive, but a good class of falls. Congratulations to them.
Nice pair of cattle here in our last class of low semis, and probably as close a pair to me as we've had all day. To be honest with you, I think these heifers are very drastically different, and there's pros and cons for each of them. I ended up using the red heifer. I think she's a little more moderate, just a little better right in behind her shoulder, and the way her spine hooks up there to the back of her shoulder. She's one that's going to be a little easier keeping, I think, as we get her in production. Sound structure kind of a female, got enough look about her. I like the softness and durability she brings to the table. The motley-faced heifer, really a big outline, stretchy kind of a female. I like the bone, probably just a shot more performance in this heifer as well. She wants to break a little right behind her shoulder, open up just a little more up and through her front skeleton a bit. She still moves pretty well. I think there's some nitpick things on each one of those that you can go back and forth on. That's a good pair of cattle, very close placing between the two.
On the Angus side, our last class, first place went to Maddie King, second to Cage Wingard, third to Natalie Davis, fourth to Colton Grimm, fifth to Michaela Dockery, sixth to Sadie Poole, and seventh to J.H. Kiefer Farm. After this next class, we will be selecting our, we are now selecting our senior heifer KF champion.
Well, congratulations back in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of our final class of females, class 10-18. First place exhibited by Hillcrest Farm with Edith's Deep Satin. Second place was exhibited by James Hicks. Now in the ring, first and seconds to select our champion reserve out of our senior female division.
Another high-quality division over here in the low semi show. I think, again, 4 good heifers that we get them back out here in the drive, and just a lot of quality in each one of these females, and you know, some things that you can sure utilize within your respective breeding operations, and some cattle that you certainly gravitate towards. I'm going to keep the pair of heifers out of the first class together, though. I think they match up really well. They're both really useful kind of cattle, so we're going to use them to send them to our champion lineup. This young lady here is going to have our champion. That second place heifer is going to be our reserve. Good job to these guys. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
Well, congratulations over in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of our final division. Your champion exhibited by Riley Stockdale with S&S means she's got it. And congratulations, reserve division. We'll go to Mandy Hurlbert with AHTHJH Semi-Charmed 301L. At this time in the Simmental ring, we're now going to welcome in your division champion and reserves, and our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg, will be selecting his grand and reserve grand champion SimGenetics females here at Keystone International Livestock Exposition.
Back over here on our Angus side, we get ready to pick you a champion here in this fall division, and a real good set of cattle. You know, maybe not the numbers that we had in the calves, but that's expected. But I like fall-born females. We do a lot of that at home, and in our part of the world, the fall cattle, fall-bred cattle just tend to breed back a little quicker for us, dealing with some heat and those sort of things. So I'm really fond of to the fall division. As we get these two class winners back out here, I think a pair of really fresh, really attractive, good built cattle is what we've got out here in the lineup. The young lady's heifer that comes out of that first class, you know, she's giving her a handful when she's kind of coming back this other direction towards the outgate. But as you get a good look at this one, as she makes a lap here, I mean, it's hard to make them any better structured, any softer, any more correct at the ground than what she is. I appreciate all those things about her. She's attractive. She's fresh in her kind. She's got some thickness. You get in behind these cattle, there's some width to her pins. You know, where I'd change her is maybe just give her a little more forerib, a little more heart, just stouten her up, bolden her up a little bit right in behind that shoulder, but still there's a lot to offer in that young female. The young man's heifer that comes out of the second class, a lot of the same can be said. She too's fresh in her condition. I love her out of her hip and hind leg. You know, if I had to tell you which one's a little better out of her front end, I'd probably give the advantage to the young lady's heifer, but I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with this one. I think she's comfortable enough there at the ground. I love her in terms of her depth of heart and in through that forerib. She just balances up really, really well there at the profile. It's a good pair of cattle. Some very respectable seconds over there that stood right in behind these. I think probably the highest quality reserves there standing on the backside that we've had up to this point. Young lady's heifer out of that first class, real attractive as well. Just maybe not quite the body and rib in the class winner. And then our young man's calf that stands second to the boy in the cowboy hat here. Big-bodied, broody, stout female, not quite as eccentric and elegant as the rest of the lineup out here today, but still a lot to like in her. So with that, if you would, I'd ask you to put your hands together. I'll get you a champion in reserve and congratulate these exhibitors here in this fall division.
Get to the selection of our champion low semi heifer here, and really a nice lineup of these cattle. And this is kind of what we're concentrating with my kids on, is trying to stick in the low semi division, because obviously we trade and move a lot of purebreds, and so it's interesting to me to get out here amongst this population. You know, as a breeder, it kind of goes through your mind, well, I wonder how these are bred, because you think about how can you make yours good at home, and I really like these cattle. Now, they're not all cookie cutter, and I would be the first to admit that. There's differences out here in terms of type and kind, but these are the cattle that suited us the best, suited me the best, maybe didn't suit you the best, but I really am pleased with all these as they get back out here. We'll run through them quickly. This calf will kind of make you stand up and look at her. I mean, she's got a beautiful look from the side, her extension and her balance. You know, I often say it's hard to use a calf until I have a calf, and then I'm like, well, I want the judge to use my calf. But I do like this heifer's kind. I like her balance. I like her extension. She's got a lot of future to her. You know, we got good big breds behind. The guesswork's done a little bit, but boy, this one I think is going to make her presence known. She's a nice one. Certainly has a lot of quality. I think is in contention for sure. I thought the senior heifer calf won her division very easily because of her body and her stoutness and her rib and her volume and her proportionality. And when I'm talking about stoutness, we're talking about up high in terms of rib, and mass and substance. You take her to the ground, she might give up a little foot size and bone work, but I like the refinement and the attractiveness that heifer brings to the table. She's a good female as well. I like the kind of the third heifer, you know, just her softness of flank, her rear rib, the durability that she's got, one that's got such a presence about her. And yes, we talked about she does have just a dab of chest, but that does not bother me at all. Her hind leg construction is ideal in terms of draw up one, the way they need to move. I think that heifer sure does that. Starting to make a nice udder as well. Looks like she's going to enter motherhood and production when she needs to. Then the heifer that wins the fourth class, she's a little different. She's probably just a little more conventional in her frame size and really boxy in her design, but boy, she handles it well. There's a lot of breeding incentive on that particular heifer because she's so dense and so powerful and so uniform in her makeup. Really a highly presented heifer as well that I think sure has a lot of quality. We got good reserves as well. Those cattle could easily be on this line, you know, depending on who's deciding gets to make the final placing. But I think some really, really good cattle, particularly our heifer calf is a nice one. Our heifer out of the second division, really sound. Maybe doesn't piece together quite as good as the division champion. I thought the red heifer beat a nice heifer to get out here that was really high quality. That heifer's got a lot of things that I sure like about her. And then just a real solid heifer there out of the fourth division. A lot of utility and a lot of substance. So really good division of these cattle. Let's give these Simmental exhibitors, the low Simmental exhibitors, a really good round of applause for their percentage cattle. And we'll go get you a champion in reserve.
Well, congratulations, your grand champion, SimGenetics female here at the Keystone International Livestock Exposition. Coming out of class 1014, that's Brexton Grabeel with TEAG, Honeysuckle Rose. And congratulations, your reserve grand champion coming out of our final division. That was Riley Stockdale with S&S Maine. She's got it. Once again, congratulations to our SimGenetic female exhibitors.
Back over here in the Angus ring, we pause just a moment there to let Dr. Bloomberg pick his champion in reserves. And we got a class of maize here. It's going to be an automatic division. And just two entries, so we got champion and reserve standing out here. But I think quality cattle, both cattle have some body, they have some rib, they have some doability about them. Appreciate those things. Within the pair, the young man's heifer that I'm going to lead off with just is a little more centric in terms of her look, in terms of her design out here today. She's a little longer and squarer out of her hip, a little more collected in the way she handles that hind leg and takes it there to the ground. Nice place to start. I like the heifer in two. You know, as I said, both cattle have body. She does have that. She's got a nice refined teat placement there underneath her. Those are things I certainly appreciate. You know, she gets a little plainer up front, maybe not quite as just comfortable and ideal in that hind leg set as it goes to the ground, but still a good pair of cattle to go champion in reserve. Let's give them a nice round of applause.
First place in champion intermediate heifer is exhibited by Lane Bernays, and second in reserve champion exhibited by Hunter Hopstetter.
Nice class. April's back over here in our Angus ring, and a real good one to go ahead and lead things off with. I mean, a guy could stand out here and say whatever he wants to compared to her counterparts, but this one's pretty unique just in terms of this one's flexibility. Her squareness on all four corners is unmatched. She's maternal, she's powerful, she's fresh in her kind as well out here today. A whole lot to like in this one, in this particular drive. Be interesting to get her back out here. She's going to be the youngest competing in that division. I know we got some more heat probably coming, but that one's really good. Our young lady's heifer that's going to stand second to her, she was the first in the ring, and she hit me as a bold rib, maternal, broody cow prospect. Those same things hold true. She maybe doesn't have the unique pieces in terms of just presence and flexibility out of her front end as the heifer that we used to start with. But from that one, shoulders back, she's bold, she's maternal, she's big-hipped, she's flexible out of that hip and hind leg. A lot to like in her as well. Some sorting the cattle can be done with the final four, and I wouldn't argue with you there. For me, I think structure is kind of what keeps this young lady's heifer followed suit with the pair that we lead off with. She's comfortable at the ground. She's good in her angles. She's got some look and some balance to her when we get her out here in the ring. You know, she maybe is not quite as opened up and just soft and bold as the cattle that stand in front of her, but yet she's still got plenty of rib and power and dimension to rival the ones that stand right behind her. Just a solid heifer that run into some steep competition there on the top end. Young lady's broody one coming out here next in line again, and standing still, I don't mind this one. She's got some rib shape, she's got some curvature to her center skeleton, just a little awkward in the way she goes. I'm not going to call her straight, but just maybe just doesn't flex and handle and have the right kind of angle for me out here today off of either end of that skeleton. A little plainer about that head and neck, just not quite as fresh and attractive through that front 1/3. The young lady's heifer that's going to come next in line and making the turn here towards the out gate, another one that's not lacking for performance and body mass and volume, a little more conditioned than I'd like to see, a little plainer in her kind as well, just doesn't reach and go off of either end to get up any higher for me today. And then our young man's calf that we're going to conclude the class with, one that's got some look, she's got some length through that front 1/3. Past that though, for me, she's just too hard, not enough body, not enough rib to compete out here today. Nice class. Congratulations.
In our first class of the Angus Junior Yearlings, first place to Rob Oakley, second to Sadie Poole, third Macy Fessler, fourth to Michaela Dockery, fifth to Kylie Simpson, and sixth to Chase Kading.
Another really good class out here in this February lineup, and I think a pair of cattle here on top that are probably just the most unique in terms of their feature, in terms of their presence out here. But the one that we start with for me is hands down the best balanced and most importantly the best structured female that we've got at the ground. She's square, she's true on all four corners. You watch her go away from you, she handles that rear hock the most ideal for me. She feels that track from behind. She's got enough body, enough rib to go along with it. Again, just a real solid one there to go ahead and lead out. I like the look, I like the boldness, I like the length of hip in the gentleman's heifer here coming in two. To me, she's a heifer that's a little shorter coupled from end to end, and you get right in behind this one, and she just doesn't want to go there from behind. She gets that right rear hock out, wants to kind of come in and just doesn't quite feel her track for me as good as she needs to out here today. The heifer coming in third is a big, bold, ribbed one, maybe a little too full out here in this particular lineup for me, but I appreciate the softness that she's got through her center skeleton. She probably has an advantage at the ground, even over the heifer right in front of her from behind. I think you watch her go away from you. She is a little truer there from hock to ground than even the one in second. She needs to have a little more full rib relative to the depth that she's got through her center skeleton. Tuck that chest back up into her ever so slightly, just freshen her up a notch, I think, out here today. She's getting a little crestier there at the top side of that neck. The young man's heifer, this is probably the best one all day that stood forth, and just a really good class. But I appreciate some things about this female. She's a heifer that, again, has got rib shape. She's got broodiness there through the center part of her body. She needs to maybe soften up a little bit through that rear flank compared to some of the other cattle. Maybe not quite as elegant and attractive about that head and neck as some of the other females as well, but good stock. The young lady's heifer coming here next in line, another one that's not lacking for body and rib. She falls out of balance a little bit. She's a little more open in her shoulder, a little tighter through her forerib, a little easier right in behind that shoulder, down through that top line, but a functional, practical, easy keeping one that I can appreciate. The young lady's heifer we're going to wrap up the class with, long, extended female that's got enough bone, enough foot underneath her, just needs some more body, more substance, be a little more comfortable there as she goes from behind. Real good class. Love the structure on the one that wins. Congratulations.
Two good bulls here to start off our percentage bull show. The red bull's just got a little more to him in terms of mass and thickness. Big testicled bull as well that's got a nice look from the side, and he moves with some comfort and some reach off both ends. That's a quality bull there to lead off. I like the look of this little bull in second. He doesn't have quite as much horsepower as our class winner, but I like his hind leg construction. Bull's got a typey look about him, one that's maybe just a little more juvenile in his look today, but I think one that's got a promising future. That's a nice pair of bulls here to start off our bull show.
From our Angus show, first place went to Allison Davis, second to Allison Schultz, third to Kaylee Lippert, fourth to Reed Haynes, fifth to Blair Heath, and sixth to Lala Grimm.
Well, congratulations back over here in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of our first class bull calves. First place exhibited by Slatewind Farm with SKSW Mr. Next Red Hot 456 MET, and second place exhibited by Catherine Miller. Now in the ring is class 1024. These are SimGenetic junior bull calves.
Nice pair of bulls here in our percentage bull show in the older bull calf class. We're going to start with the black bull, one that's just a wide load from end to end as you study him. Big forearm in this bull. He's masculine, he's rugged, he's got big features underneath of him. Huge rib cage in this bull, very powerful out of his hip. Big testicle as well. I think a bull that's got a lot of utility to him here to lead off the class. This is a nice red bull too. Sharp from the side. He's got some eye appeal and some attractiveness to him. He just kind of fit inside this bull we used to win the class, but really a balanced look to this bull, very proportional in his design, just a notch more fragile in his construction compared to our massive class winner there. But that's a good pair of cattle here in this class.
Well, congratulations back over in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of Class 1024 Junior Bull Calves. First place exhibited by Madison Young with M.A. Young Arctic 037M. And second place in congratulations, Hillcrest Farm. We'll now bring those first and seconds in for division. After this division, we'll then look to see your single entry in our early junior yearling bull class.
Really a nice set of bull calves here in our percentage Simmental show. And we only had the 4 head, but I think all 4 of these have some value to them. They're bulls that are a little different in type and kind, but they bring some different things to the table. The bull that wins that first class, very attractive, very tidy in his design, clean in his sheath, a nice profile to that bull. And then just a big bruiser that's really huge ribbed and stout featured, big testicled and masculine here that wins class 2. So good pair of bulls out of these respective first and seconds. And this group out here, this bull here out of the second class is going to be our division champion. Congratulations to our very nice bull.
Nice class of February's over here in our Angus ring, and I think a pair here on the top end that, again, for me, it's just structure that sorts it. I think you study these cattle at the ground. The young lady's heifers, by some margin, a little more comfortable, a little more athletic. She's fresh, she's attractive. I like the condition out here that she is in, and she's got some shape up high when you get in behind these cattle and opens up into enough rib cage there down low. Real easy one to go ahead and lead off for me. The young man's heifer standing still rivals her. I think she's bold-centered, she's heavy-boned and big-footed. She, too, gives you a good look up front, but when we ask these cattle to go, she just gets a little more timid, a little more restricted off of either end of that skeleton for me out here today. But a nice heifer there to follow up that class winner with. The young man's heifer that's going to come out here in third. A pair of them here in 3 and 4 that I like in terms of their length of body. I like them in terms of their stoutness when you get in behind them. I think both of them just need to be a little more feminine, a little more attractive, a little fresher in their condition out here today for me. And like I said, this young man's heifer here going next, it just needs to get out and reach with a little more authority there from behind. The heifer that's given some fits out here today a little bit. Again, a lot of the same can be said about her. Long, extended, square hip female, just a little plain, a little more restricted in her movement. And then our heifer we're going to conclude the class with a female that has got some look up front. Appreciate those things about her. She gets a little shallower heeled, a little more refined in her kind out here today, but a nice class of February's. Congratulations to them.
Well, congratulations back over in the SimGenetics ring. Results out of our Junior Bull Calf Division champion, exhibited by Madison Young. Reserve champion, exhibited by Hillcrest Farm. Now in the ring is our junior yearling bull division.
Single entry bull here in our junior yearling, but really a nice bull, a big body, the easy keeping kind of a bull. It's got a really nice rib cage in him. I really like the bend and give to this bull's hind leg. Still got enough look as you get him out here on the end of a halter. A bull that's masculine and rugged, and one that's got a nice crest there. And he looks like a bull should. That's a quality individual that the young ladies brought to us. We'll see him back here in our champion lineup. Nice bull.
Well, congratulations, your junior yearling bull champion will go to Alyssa Slimmer and Rough Water Cattle with Boss Lake Copacetic 340L. Now going to welcome in champion and reserves out of our 2 divisions, and our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg, will select his champion and reserve champion, SimGenetics bull.
From our last class of Angus females, first to Remy Gardner, second to Connor London, third to Jacob Fortiball, fourth to Endless Mountains Farms, and fifth to Landon Hall.
Really a nice set of bulls here as we make our champion, and we didn't have a lot of numbers in our percentage bull show, but I think a lot of quality, and really what we have 5 bulls total. I think all 5 of them, you know how I kind of look at bull shows, they're a little different than what they used to be. IVF obviously changed the game a little bit. We don't have as many bull calves born, so our options for bulls becomes a little slimmer all the time. But you know, again, I look at bulls as would I use these on our cows at home, and I think you really could justify using all these bulls in different settings. The bull calf, very, very powerful. We talked about his dimension and his substance, one that's just got a lot to him for a calf. And then you kind of, same song, different verse with the bigger bull, just a little older version, really ties high. He's got a good set to his hind leg. He was wanting to hang that one testicle up a little bit. He's dropping it now. I just think there's a lot of value in both these bulls. So let's give them a good round of applause. I know we got to keep going. Our big bull is going to be our champion. Our bull calf's going to be reserved. Excellent pair of cattle.
Back over here in the Angus ring, a class of January females, and a good one to go ahead and lead off. For me, pretty obvious winner, just in terms of mass, power, substance, cow power. This one's got it rode on her. A lot to like in her in terms of length of hip and stoutness of hip. You take this one to the ground, she's big-footed and heavy-boned. Just a lot to like in her. You know, if you could tweak her a little bit, she's maybe a little more open about her shoulder than maybe some. But I tell you what, there's still a lot of cow in that one, and she backs that little more round her shoulder up with plenty of substance and plenty of mass to go along with it. I like that one a great deal. She'll make things interesting here in just a moment when we get back into division. From there, there's some sorting the cattle, and again, the young lady's heifer that follows our class winner, just from a structural standpoint, I think has advantages over the remaining 2. She's more comfortable as we ask them to go. She's more right in the set to her shoulder and the angle to her knee. She too has enough body and enough rib. She doesn't have the eccentrics of our class winner in terms of just power and substance from end to end, but still quality cattle there to follow up with that class winner. Our young lady's heifer that's going to come out here in 3, a lot like her just in terms of length of body, length of stride, I think is good. She gets a little harder in terms of her rib shape, maybe not quite as opened up in terms of just true width and dimension there from end to end, but a nice heifer to follow up those 2. And then our young ladies have we're going to conclude the class with standing on some foot and bone. Appreciate those things about her. She just gets a little more awkward as she goes, a little more tubular in her design, but a real nice class of January is there. Congratulations to all those exhibitors.
Well, congratulations back over in the Simmental ring, your champion SimGenetics bull, exhibited by Alyssa Slimmer with Rough Water Cattle, and reserve champion went to Madison Young with MA Young Arctic 037M. Now in the ring is our Pro to Sedan class. We have a single entry from Hillcrest Farm. We are going to get started in just a moment with our open Simmental female show. Cow-calf pairs, please be at ringside.
Let's give these Angus folks a nice round of applause here in this particular division. I think an excellent set of cattle from end to end. Our most competitive, most highly contested division that we've had up to this point. I'll tell you what I see. The young man's heifer that comes out of that April class, I think, is one that's really unique. To be that fresh, that sound, that bold, and at this stage of the game to have that kind of look and presence out here today, I think is really hard to come by. You get in behind this female, she's wide top, she's wide pinned, she goes away from you, she's got some natural thickness, she's got some shape to her quarter and down through her stifle. Is she the youngest one out here? Yeah. She's maybe not quite as far along as maybe one standing on the other end of the class. But I tell you what, this female is built really, really nice. She's so feminine, so maternal in her kind. She's definitely in the running out here today. The young lady's heifer that comes out of the March class, you know, like we talked there earlier, she won that one on structure, and she's one of the top two in terms of structure out here in this particular drive. She is so good at the ground. She's so athletic when you ask her to go. I appreciate all those things about her. Her shoulder is correct. Her knee is good. Her hip and hind leg are ideal from the side. She's got enough body and enough rib. When you get in behind her, I wish there was a little more power, a little more width, a little more turn to that lower quarter and stifle than maybe heifers standing on either end of the class. But this one's structure certainly keeps her in the running as well out here today. The young lady's heifer that comes out of that fourth class, again, another class from a structural standpoint where she won it. She's fresh, she's attractive, she's good at the ground. Does she have the eccentrics of the other three? Probably not. She gets a little more refined in her kind. She's maybe not quite as soft and deep in her rib cage as the remaining cattle, but this is still good female in terms of her feminine look, her maternal attractiveness that she's got up through her front 1/3, and then she's still good at the ground that I can certainly appreciate. We get down to the female out of the January class, and this one's a beast. She's big-bodied, she's huge-hipped. I love her foot size, I love her bone work. You get in behind them, and me being a continental kind of guy at heart, there's some mass, there's some dimension in this cow. I appreciate those things about her. She does maybe get a little bolder about her shoulder. Of the top three, she probably goes third in regards to structure for me out here today, but there's certainly a whole lot to like in terms of just real cow power, and those are unique pieces, I think, for the Angus breed in terms of just dimension, substance of bone, and mass there at the ground. No doubt she's in the running out here today as well. I'm going to give them one more look. If you would, put your hands together one more time. I'll get you a champion in reserve.
Champion junior female is entry 441, exhibited by Rob Oakley. In the reserve is exhibited by Hadley Hendricks. Will be in the next division, and we have one entry.
Just a single entry here in our last class of our female show, and a young lady brought us a good one. Powerful, big rib, big-footed Angus female. Excuse me. I love the udder design there underneath. You know, maybe not quite as attractive and unique in some features as some cattle we've seen up to this point, but this is good stock. You can take this one home, mate her up, and she's going to raise something with that kind of build and that kind of substance there at the ground. That's a really nice female. Again, I just love that udder design. She said she's due here at the end of the month. I believe it. This one's springing up, uddering up. A lot to like in her. Congratulations on this division winner. We'll hold you out here and bring you back in here at the tail end of the line. Congratulations.
Your class winner and champion senior female is exhibited by Madison Bowen.
Just two cow-calf pairs and both single entry, so we brought them both in. First calf heifer up here in the front, and got a nice calf at her side that's big-bodied and got a good look. And this cow's putting everything she's got into this calf. Looks like a first calf heifer should. Probably doesn't have quite as much to her as our older cow, but I really like the look and the balance this cow brings to the table. Very attractive in her makeup and sleek in her look. Looks like she's got a good under laid in underneath of her, and kind of proofs in the pudding on her calf there that's nursing her behind. Beautiful cow here out of the older class, big-bodied, easy keeping, got a really nice look to her. I think they said she's a 2020 model, so coming 4 or 5 year old, just a beautiful cow in terms of her body and her mass. Got a really nice udder laid in underneath there, refined in her teats. Got a good solid calf at her side as well. So this is really a nice showcase for the Simmental producers from a production standpoint. I think two very, very good pairs that represent the breed very well. Both of them got good coupons at their side as well. Cattle that certainly has some quality. So let's put our hands together for these two cow-calf exhibitors, if you would. Not easy to drag these to the fair. Not easy to leave these calves on here as long as I have, and I'd be pleased to have each one of them. The older cow is going to be our champion pair. The younger cow is going to be reserved, but both very, very deserving cattle.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring, your champion cow-calf pair exhibited by Travis Clark with H201 Trippy's Bliss, and reserve champion will go to Kelsey Dobbin. Again, congratulations to our cow-calf exhibitors. We're now going to get started with our heifer show. First class in the ring is class 904 late spring heifer calves. Class 905 early spring heifer calves will look for you on deck.
Well, I know we got a few bulls still to sort, but as we get down here to this champion drive of our female show, again, I want to tip my hat to the Angus Association and Keystone for inviting me up here to sort through this Angus show. It's truly been a lot of fun. A lot of great cattle, a lot of great young folks. I know it's an open show out here, but it's predominantly been dominated by the junior side of things, and that's what's keeping our industry afloat right now, and certainly happy and excited to see these young people out here working with these show prospects on down the road. I truly believe there's no better place to raise young folks than in a barn, whether it's a cattle barn, pig barn, goat barn. It doesn't matter. I think it's truly the place to be. And as we get back out here with these cattle, I think these heifers speak for themselves. I'm not going to go back through and talk each and every one. I'm not going to talk any of them, to be honest with you. I've got my mind made up. I had no idea the quality would be quite as deep as it was here, but it's certainly been fun. It's been exciting, and I truly am honored to have the opportunity to sort through these cattle. You know, I don't ask each and every one of you to agree. Most of the time I'm standing on ringside, and I've had my comments and say, well, I didn't quite agree there, and that's okay. You know, all I ask is that you agree with what I said. I talk the cattle correct, and you can't disagree when a judge does that. And so that's what we've tried to do today. I'll leave you with this. If you would, just keep the folks in East Tennessee and North Carolina in your thoughts.
it wasn't rough at our place, but it's certainly been rough for some friends of mine. Give these folks a nice round of applause.
Nice set of these young heifer calves here to start off our purebred Simmental show, and a real striking heifer to lead off the class. Really well balanced and really elegant in her design. Sure like the look and presence that she brings to the table. And she got a good stable hind leg underneath of her. Looks like that heifer's got some continuation. I like where she's at in terms of size and maturity at this stage of the game as well. Quality heifer there to lead off. Red Baldy's a neat kind of cattle in terms of body and rib and volume. Really like the broodiness that she has. Wants to get a little piecier in her top line, wants to flag her tail head just a bit, but I sure like that heifer's doability and her softness in her rear rib and flank. Heifer that comes out in third, like the stoutness and the substance she brings to the table, one that's got some extra horsepower as you get up on top of her. Need to make her just a little more correct in terms of her hip and her hind leg construction, loosen her up just a bit off the edge of her shoulder. Short switched heifer to close the class, really props up with some balance and some elegance to her. I like the symmetrical look she gives when she stands. Set her in motion, she gets a little up in her shoulder, a little tighter in the way she grabs the ground behind. Just need to make her a little looser structured for me to get her up. But a good set of heifers here, class 1 of the purebreds.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 904 late spring heifer calves. First place go to Briley Miller with L Man Bunny 22 MET. Second place was exhibited by Ashley Zimmerman. Third place, Kelsey Dobbin. In fourth place, Carter Brown. We'll now welcome in class 905. These are Simmental early spring heifer calves.
And our congratulations to entry number 441. Exhibited by Rob Oakley, and will be the grand champion female of the Kyle show this year. And the reserve is exhibited by Hadley Hendrickson.
Here's a calf that'll lead off this class. They'll kind of make you stand up and pay attention a little bit here. Got a real neat look about her, a heifer that's heavy boned and still really sleek in her design. Then when you get on top of her, she's got something to her. She's good from hooks to pins, squares. You take her to the ground and got just really that cocky look about her. One that's, to me, the right rig from a condition standpoint. Got some continuation in it. That's a quality calf there to win the blue ribbon here in this group. I like this heifer in second. Moderate framed, got a big rib cage in her. I really like the softness that this heifer has. Probably a little bunchier maybe than the heifer that leads off the class, but I really like her midrib and her flank. Got a nice hind leg construction. Probably wants to set out in her shoulder just a little more than our heifer that leads off the class, but still a quality female there in the 2 spot. Heifer with the birthmark here, really extended from the side. Like her extension from the profile. Probably just a little more juvenile yet in her look, in her mid-body, and in her flank in relation to the top para-cattle in this group. I think that heifer's got some future to her, though. Good set of feet and legs underneath of her. Pretty stable on her hind leg and some cockiness up through her front end. A little more performance in this heifer. I just thought she was just a little rougher in her top line in relation to our heifer that leads off. Wants to throw her front feet out just a little more than the top trio do. Still a quality female. I like this Baldy heifer. I wish she moved a little more comfortably in her hock. Boy, she gives you a nice propped up balance from the side. She can get 2 or 3 spots in the class, and we just could redesign the way she sits from her hock down to the ground. Another good kind of a female. The red heifer's the kind that'll keep you in business from a doability standpoint, a sound structured heifer. I like her athleticism. She's a bit more fragile as you take her to the surface. Need to intensify her bone work and her foot size a bit, but still a useful kind of a female. Next heifer's really round-bodied. I like the boldness to her rib cage, the spring that she has, a little rounder out of her hip, a little straighter up into her shoulder. We close with a para-cattle that get just a little more tangled up structurally. I thought this one had just a bit more body. We got to rework that hind leg. Baldy that closed the class is cocky-necked. Like that about her. She's too rigid up into her shoulder. Wants to tiptoe just a bit from behind.
Well, congratulations over in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 905 early spring heifer calves. First place to go to Tim Schaefer Show Cattle with SNS TSSC Something to See. Second place exhibited by Grady McGrew with GCR GWM Something About Honey. Third place went to Kelsey Broughton. Fourth place exhibited by Carter Brown. Fifth place Carter Brown. Sixth place Carter Brown. Seventh place will go to Grant Pyra. 8th place, and congratulations, Annabelle Rapp. 9th place will go to Brooke Coble. Now in the ring is class 906. These are junior heifer calves born February of 2024.
we have a moment just to remind everybody that over in the trade show, there is some tables with the silent auction items. And the board has made the decision that all money from that will be being sent down to our friends in the Carolinas and Tennessee. So all of your support on that silent auction over in the trade show, all of those funds will be going to a designated area down south for all of those flood victims. So anything you can do, and we appreciate it. And if you don't want to buy anything on there and you still want to make some donations, see the folks in the beef office and we'll take care of you.
Nice first class to bulls here. I wanted to beat Dr. Bloomberg to the mic because he's going to be on it for a little while talking that big class there next door. Just a pair of them over here as we start this bull show, and I like this young man's bull to go ahead and lead off with. A little more rugged, a little more substance, a little more mass in him. Then the bull standing right behind him. I like his build. I think he's good enough at the ground. He's good in his sheath and his testicles there underneath. Nice place, easy place to start. I don't mind the build and the look and the design of the young lady's bull here in 2. He's attractive. He's high tying there at the top side of his shoulder. He's got some look and some presence to him. Really good in his sheath. Just needs a little more stoutness and substance to run with the one that we used to start. But a good first class Angus bulls. Congratulations.
In the first class of Angus bull calves, first to Circle R Angus, second to Sarah Whitehead.
Another good deep class of these heifer calves here and a good top pair. Some trade-offs, I think, between the two. A little more genuine substance here in the heifer we have that leads off the class. I like the way she gets out and covers her track. Got a nice set to her hock, a very powerfully constructed female. Getting on top of them, she's really wide out of the point of her shoulder, back to her hip. Got some spread, and to me, a female that I really like in terms of the power. Yet with that, I think she's just a nickel more comfortable in the way she sits down behind. That's a good heifer here to lead off the class. There's a little more of the heifer in terms of stretch and length that comes in second, like the sleek design this heifer has. As you study her, she's flat and smooth in her shoulder. I'd like to make her just a little more comfortable here as you watch her go from behind. She's got a good set to her pasture, and it's in her hock where I'd change her just a nickel, but I like that heifer too. She's not as bold, not as opened up as the heifer we start the class with, but a good pair of cattle up on the front end. Move this heifer up a spot. I just like her extra doability. Her moderation is a positive to me because she's got a little more substance, a little more oomph to her as you get up on top of her. She gets out-horsed by the top pair of cattle, but I think in relation to the heifer that comes in fourth, she's got just a little more to her. I like the stretch and the length of the heifer in fourth. Her color pattern kind of sets her off. You know, I'm kind of a black and white guy. I don't mind a little color on them. She's just a little rigid right there in her top line. When you get up on top of the cattle too, she's a little narrower built for her extra frame. But boy, I like her balance. I like her quality when she stands still. I'd like to make her just a shot looser and power her up just a notch. Nice moderate heifer to come out next, deep rib. Really doesn't do nothing wrong, just kind of runs out of the extras in relation to some of the other cattle up in the class. I'd like her to release her pasture in just a little bit, make her move out just a little more comfortably than what she does. Had this heifer up a couple spots on my initial pull. Shoulders back, you like her. She's beefy, she's burly, she's got rib. She gets just a little chug up through her front end, starting to pack probably just a nickel more condition on than what I would like to see for a heifer calf at this stage of the game. This one is a little longer pattern, a little more extended. Looks like she might have just a shot more continuation. With that extra elevation, though, she's a little flatter built, a little built more like a triangle as you get up on top of her. I like to widen her up just a bit. Good burly heifer to come out next. It's just a little plain. We still got three good cattle here to come out. Really all have nice looks about them. They're attractive. They just don't have enough density or center body to compete with a very competitive class.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring. Results out of our junior heifer calf class. These are February females. First place in congratulations, Holscher Cattle Company with HOEL Tina 404M. Second place in congratulations, Tim Schaefer Show Cattle with J Saul Special Rose 4201M. Third place was exhibited by Kelsey Broughton. Fourth place go to Gavin Palmer. Fifth place goes to Boom Boom Bozeman. Sixth place, Avery Young. Seventh place, and congratulations, Carter Brown. Eighth place, Travis Clark. Ninth place, Sierra Robinson. 10th place will go to Ott Hay and Cattle. 11th place in that class goes to Chelsea Miles of Up the Creek Farm. Now in the ring, we're welcoming in junior heifer calves born January of 2024.
Nice class of bull calves over here in the Angus ring, and I think a good pair here on top. There's some differences and some trade-offs in each of them. The young lady's bull I'm going to start with, to me, again, structurally, he's the most correct at the ground. He's the most rugged bull in the class in terms of just dimension and power and muscle shape. I love him in terms of his foot size and his bone work. You know, he's maybe not sharp fronted and attractive up through that front 1/3 as the bull that stands in right behind him, but I still think it's ideal for me. He's got some length in neck. He transitions really well into his forerib, an easy place for me to start out here at the end of the day. I don't mind the bull there in second. I think he gives you a good look. He's stylish. He's long-necked. He's long-bodied. He's a bull that, too, does have some shape and some curvature and some dimension through his center skeleton. He reads a little straighter through his shoulder. Not quite as comfortable there off those rear two as our class winner, but that's a nice pair of bulls there on the top end. The young lady's bull coming third. I like this guy out of his hip and his hind leg. He's really comfortable there at the surface as he goes. He's a long spine, extended made individual. He just needs to have a little more body and rib, I think, to rival the ones that stand right in front of him. Our young lady's bull that's going to come out here next in line, one that does have a little more center body, a little more softness, I should say, to his center body when you get off of him from the profile. He too's collected there at the ground as he gets out, and he's athletic in his build. Just gives up a little muscle shape and a little power compared to the three that go ahead of him. Our young lady's calf coming next in line. Again, one that gives you a real nice look. He's balanced up well there at the profile. Transitions good into that forerib, opens up into a big rib cage. Again, just gets a little lackluster in terms of just mass and dimension when you get in behind him. And then our young lady's bull we're going to conclude the class with, high-performing, long-bodied, bold-sprung individual. Just structurally, he's the one that probably concerns me the most off either end of that skeleton out here today. Nice class of bull calves. Congratulations.
Last class before the division here, and a big group of heifer calves. Nice heifer to lead off. I think she gets right away with the class in terms of look and eye appeal and attractiveness. Really slings her neck up nice at the top of her shoulder. Very sleek look about this female. You know, she doesn't have the hair coat maybe some of the other cattle have, but I think when you look underneath that, there's a lot of good to this female. She does a lot of things right. She's structurally correct. She balances well. Pretty logical place for me to start in this class. The Baldy heifer gives you a good look. No doubt she's got some presence, some eye appeal about her. She's a little more rigid in the way she travels off of her hind leg, but that heifer's got a really unique silhouette and presence about her. I just wish she moved a little more comfortably in relation to our heifer that leads off the class. A real burly heifer to come in third. You like the rib and the utility that she's got. With that, though, she's starting to pack on just maybe a nickel more condition than what I would prefer at this stage of the game. Probably just need to remove her from the feed bucket, maybe just a bit. But I like that heifer's kind really well. She's just starting to push it up into her shoulder, starting to show it a little more in terms of her structure as well. Young man's having a little bit of a time with this heifer. It's a nice female. She just needs to be more comfortable, but I like her stoutness. She's got a nice look about her. She just needs to be a little looser structured as we ask you to get out and go. Wants to get a little straighter in her shoulder and a little tighter in her hock. Heifer that closed the class has a nice look about her up through her front end. She's tucked up neat in her chest floor, a little more refined in her bone work, and just gets, to me, a little snappier in terms of her ankle. Just need to loosen her up in terms of her skeleton.
Over here in our first division of Angus bulls, I think a good set of class winners and respective seconds that we bring back out. Again, I think the bull out of that first class, you know, he won so rather handily just in terms of his added mass and substance and power compared to the young guy there standing beside him. We had a little more competition there in that second lineup, Angus bull calves, and I think a good pair there on the top end. The young lady's bull that comes out of there being our class winner. Again, I like his rugged design. I like his flexibility out of that hip and hind leg. Soft-made bull with some mass and some dimension to him. When you get in behind these cattle, he's going to be your champion. We'll follow him up with our other class winner out of Class 1. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations back over in the Simmental ring. Results of our final class in our first division. First place exhibited by Holscher Cattle Company with HOEL Celine 402M. Second place went to Josephine Tamel. Third place, Grant Pyra. Fourth place went to Premier Farm Simmentals. And fifth place to Donald Barron. Now in the ring is your first and seconds for our first division of Simmental females.
In our last class of Angus bulls, first to J.J. Bond, second to Michaela Dockery, third to David Bell, fourth to Hawks Hill Farm, fifth to Highway Meadows Farm, and sixth to Chad Haskamp. And our junior bull calf champion is exhibited by J.J. Bond and our reserve by Circle R. Angus.
Just a single entry here in our Angus Bull Show. I got you, Blake. Good single entry. Yearling bull, young man brings to us in September. I love this guy's structure. I love his length of body. His balance, I think, is really, really well. We'll see him again when we bring him back out in our champion drive. Congratulations to him.
Really a good lineup of these purebred heifers as we get out in this first division. I didn't know I was going to judge a major here in terms of numbers. We had a lot of calves in these middle two classes, and I think a lot of quality really throughout this division. I'm not going to go back and talk through them again. I think there's a pair of cattle that really, for me, rise to the top, and then there's a third that I think you can sure get in the mix. The one out of Class 2 and 3 are the ones that you gravitate towards, and this one out of Class 2 is a unit from the side. She's really neat and attractive, one that's just got such a balanced presence about her and yet still moves so comfortably. And then what I like about her is you get on top of her, there's still something to her. She's cracked open, and she's got that great silhouette. The heifer that won that competitive third class is really stout featured. I like her heaviness of structure, her density as you get up on top of her. You know, she's one that for that extra mass and power still handles herself really good on her feet and legs. That's another really, really high-quality heifer. We got some good heifers on either side of them. We got some good heifers on the other side, but those are the two that comes down to. Class 2 is your champion. Class 3 is the reserve. That's a really good pair of Simmental calves. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring results out of our junior heifer calf division. Congratulations, Tim Schaefer Show Cattle with SNS TSSC Something to See, and reserve champion coming out of class 906, that's HOELTNA 404M, exhibited by Holscher Cattle Company. We'll now look to see class 910 winter heifer calves.
Single entry summer-born Angus bull here that this gentleman brings to us. July calf, he told me, I love the muscle shape in this guy. He's stout, he's powerful, he's rugged, certainly can do a lot on a British set of cows, and just a really, really good bull. He's genuine. There's not a lot of fluff and hair on him. What you see is what you get. Certainly appreciate those things about him. A bull that I think it can survive and cover a lot of cows in a lot of different environments. Nice single entry here this young man brings to us. Congratulations.
Going back to our bulls, and our class winner and senior champion bull was entry 1728, exhibited by Broderick Fitzgerald. Our next class that was in the ring, your winner was exhibited by JDH Cattle Company. This goes to here, right? It's in there. Now we have a senior yearling, then we do a division. We have one entry in the senior yearling bull is in the ring at the moment, and after this class we'll be selecting a division champion.
Single entry March-born bull the young lady's got here for us. A big-bodied, stout, rugged-made individual. Love the foot size, the bone on this potential herd sire here this young lady's got. Just a lot to like in him. He gives you a good look as well up front. You know, he could be loosened up a little bit off of both ends of that skeleton, but that's a massive made, powerfully built, heavy-muscled individual that you certainly have to appreciate. Congratulations to this entry.
And our senior yearling bull is entry 1398, exhibited by David Bell.
Good trio of winter-born heifer calves here, and the snip nose that leads off the class really balances well from the side. Really good from her chest into her flank and her forerib relationship. One that balances so good and got a neat look about her, yet still comfortable as you actually get out and go. The red heifer in second just has a little more to her than our black heifer in three. She doesn't maybe have quite as much balance and symmetry to her line as the heifer that wins the class. I'd like to loosen her up just a shade on her hind leg, but I still think there's enough more heifer there to get around this black heifer in three. This one's got a nice look. She patterns well, sets her neck up nice at the top of her shoulder. Just got to give her a little more internal dimension and stouten her up a bit in relation to her contemporaries in this class.
Well, congratulations back over in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 910 winter heifer calves. First place exhibited by Walker Coble with LZBY Lady May L231. Second place was exhibited by Charles and Whitney Lee of CWL Simmentals, and third place went to Donald Barron. Now in the ring, 911 senior heifer calves before the division.
Nice pair of bulls here in this intermediate division, and we'll hit on them briefly here again for you. Our gentleman's bull that comes out of that July class, again, like we said, I think one that's really genuine. He's fresh in his condition, a bull that you view him and you can see some muscle shape and some turn and some power to this young herd sire. He's a bull that I think you get him out on the move. He's acceptable in terms of his structure. You could tweak him a little bit maybe out of that front end, but certainly acceptable. He's good in his foot shape. I'd maybe set him down in that tail head ever so slightly, but I really like the length of body. I like the genuineness, the freshness that he comes to us out here today. Our young lady's bull that comes out of the second class, really big-bodied, a real attractive individual in terms of how his neck comes high there out of the top side of his shoulder, stands down on a huge foot and bone. He's maybe got a little more condition on him than the bull standing right in front of him, but I love this guy's body mass. I love his substance. I love the look that he gives us out here today. He's a big testicled bull as well. I'd change him maybe a little bit in how he handles that rear leg, specifically the left one. As he wants to get out and go, he's wanting to pop that pastern there ever so slightly, but I think you could change both of them structurally just a little bit. Good pair of bulls. I'll get you a champion in reserve if you would. Give them a nice round of applause.
Nice pair of senior heifer calves over here in the purebred side. The heifer up in the front here is going to lead off the class, and she wedges a little better in her shoulder and the way she moves off her front end. I like the way her knee drops out of the bottom there of her elbow just a bit better. Got a nice look about her. She's fresh compositionally. Heifer that's got rib and mass. Good heifer there to lead off the class. This is a nice one in second as well. Huge ribbed, just like the heifer right in front of her. Really deep, really strong in her top line. I like that about her. Like the set of her hind leg, pretty good. Comes right at you. She'll roll just a little on her front feet. I didn't see her laying quite as nice there on the edge of her shoulder as our class winner. That's a very competitive pair of cattle here.
In the Angus ring, our junior champion bull is exhibited by David Bell and the reserve by JDH Cattle Company. Now you see there's an entry up here.
Well, congratulations back in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 911. Senior heifer calves. First place exhibited by Michaelin Helmke with JS Dairy Queen 87L. And second place exhibited by Alexis Wright. Now in the ring, our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg, will select his champion reserve senior heifer calves.
Not a lot of numbers in our senior calf division, but still some good females as you get them back out here. I like that pair out of the first class. That heifer that wins the class really got a nice look about her, one that's got some presence and some balance. She gets out horsed by the heifer behind her, but you certainly like her tidiness and her attractiveness. We're going to keep the pair together out of the second class. I think they match up well. They're very similar in type and kind. Heifer that wins, I think, just moves a shot better off either end, but that's a good pair of cattle. We're going to use these two young ladies, black heifers here, out of the second class to be grand reserve in the division. Congratulations.
Nice pair of bulls over here in our Angus ring. I'm going to use the young man here in the blue bull, and just in terms of his length of body, his length of skeleton, really impressive. Got a big foot and heavy bone underneath him. I guess what I probably enjoy most about him is just the condition that he's in out here today. I mean, this guy's fresh. He's genuine in what you see. He doesn't have a lot of hair and fluff on him. There's some muscle. There's some testicles there underneath. He's really sound and correct there at the ground. Really athletic, good-looking individual. Go ahead and lead off in this class. The bull here in 2 is one that's no slouch. I mean, I love the foot size, the bone in this individual as well. He too is super athletic and flexible there at the ground when you get him out on the go. I think compared to the bull that wins, he's a little shorter coupled. He's a little narrower set in his pins. He's a little flatter there through his stifle, but that's a big-bodied, good structured bull that's got a good foot and real good hind leg on him, really correct through that shoulder and front knee. A lot to like in both of those bulls. Congratulations to them.
First place went to Schaefer Show Cattle and Zachary McCall. And second went to Madison Stratton.
Well, congratulations. Back over in the Simmental ring, your champion senior heifer calf, exhibited by Michaelan Helmke with JS Dairy Queen 87L, and reserve champion coming out of the same class, exhibited by Alexis Wright. We're now going to look for class 915 in the Simmental ring. These are early summer yearling females.
Big mature bull here in our last class of our Angus Bull Show, and again, one that's not lacking for some performance and some growth. He's a long-bodied, extended-made individual that's pretty correct there at the ground in terms of his flexibility. You know, maybe want to tuck his chest up ever so slightly just to help his balance out a little bit, but there's some mass, there's some thickness. I like the ruggedness, the masculinity that this herd sire's got. Nice way to wrap up the day here on the Angus Bull side. Congratulations to him. As we get into our final division here of our Angus Bull Show, I think a good lineup, you know, just 3 total head and the whole deal, I think, but a good set of bulls. I'll briefly hit on all of them just a little bit again for you. You know, that class winner that comes out of class 1 there, you know, we talked about just his freshness, his genuineness, a bull that's kind of in his working clothes out here today. I appreciate him at the ground in terms of his flexibility and his athleticism. He's a good sheath, good testicled bull that comes with some look and some presence as well out here in the ring. A lot to like in him. The bull that stood second to him there in class, a little different type and kind, but I think out here he's the next bull in regards to structure that you like the best. He's really flexible at the ground. He's got a big foot. He's correct on his angles. He's set back in his knee. You know, he maybe doesn't have quite the mass and the substance of the two bigger, heavier bulls that are right in front of him out here today, but structurally that one's built really, really well, really unique just in some pieces that he offers and brings to the table. And then our big mature bull here that comes out of that last class, just so massive, so rugged, so powerful, a lot to like in him. Like we said, we could tuck his chest up ever so slightly. I think with bulls on either end, that maybe change his structure and his athleticism a little bit there out of that hip and hind leg, but still one that's going to inject some growth, some performance into his offspring. You can't go wrong with that in today's industry, one that you have to like in those regards. Let's give him a nice round of applause. I'll get you a champion in reserve.
Over here on the Simmental side, automatic intermediate champion here in reserve. 3 good heifers, but the Baldy gets right away with it in this group. Really balances well from the side, very attractive in terms of her makeup. One that's tucked up nice and through her front end, but still has some stability as you ask her to get out and go. She balances well, very attractive, really unique in terms of her type and kind. That's a good heifer there to win the class. The red heifer, I think, just has more to her than the female that comes behind her. She handles her front skeleton just a bit better. You would like to rework her from her chest into her flank just a notch, but again, I just think enough more body and rib and volume to her compared to our black heifer that comes in third. Black heifer in third's got a neat, attractive look. It is tucked up a little better into her breastplate and her chest than the heifer in two. She wants to get just a little straight in the edge of her shoulder, like to set her knee back in her just a bit, rework her rear skeleton just a bit to get her around the red heifer there for the reserve division spot. Good trio.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 915 early summer yearling heifers. First place will go to BCR Caliente L149, exhibited by Alyssa Slimmer. Second place will go to Isabel Smithson, and third place will go to Trip Jordan. That is also your intermediate heifer division. We're now going to bring in class 918 late junior yearling females.
Well, let's put our hands together for these Angus exhibitors and these Angus bull exhibitors. Really great set of cattle, I think, from the get-go there this morning right up till the end here today. I think maybe one group class to get to after that, but we're going to leave the mic alone when we get to that. But again, I want to extend my sincere thank you to the Angus Association and the Keystone International for inviting me to come up here and not only work through the Angus show, but a few others here over the next couple of days. And it's surely been a lot of fun. You know, I've always appreciated getting the opportunity to sort through some livestock, and Keystone kind of holds a little special place for me. This actually, most people probably don't know it, but this is where me and my wife actually first met, all the way up here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. A boy from Milton, Tennessee, and a girl from northern Indiana actually met here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So it's certainly an honor and a pleasure to get to come back and stand in the ring and sort through some really, really good cattle. I'm not going to go back through and talk all of these. I do have it down to a pair of them that I like a great deal. I think it's a pair of bulls that structurally suit me. It's a pair of bulls that are genuine in their kind. They're good looking. They're athletic. They've got some mass and some build to them. To me, maybe one just has a little shot more rib and volume in him here at the end of the day, but still a high quality set of Angus cattle and Angus bulls bulls that I've had the opportunity to judge. So with that, let's give them one more round of applause, and I'll get you a pair of champions. Thank you.
Let's give a nice thank you to our judge today, Zach Butler. Let's give him a nice round of applause for the great job he did working at our Angus show today. Thank you, Zach. That's Fitzgerald. Champion bull is exhibited by Schaefer Show Cattle, and the reserve is exhibited by Broderick Fitzgerald. We're going to be doing pictures with the bulls, but before we do that, we are going to do our junior get of sire class. Junior get. We'll do that, and then we'll do pictures of the bulls. And we, talking to all the exhibitors now, if you are asked to have one of your animals in the judging contest, we certainly do appreciate that. It is a privilege, and I think it's in the papers that come with the show, that if you are asked that you provide us with an animal for our collegiate and junior judging contest tomorrow. Thank you. And again, make sure you stop at the trade show and visit the silent auction area. All of those funds this year are going to be headed south to provide some assistance for our friends in Tennessee and North Carolina.
I'll certainly echo that plug. Being a judging coach myself, we certainly appreciate when we get good cattle for contests. So if they do come ask you, it's not like they're going to hurt them or anything. It'd be good for them to get out here. So please, I would encourage you as a past contestant and as a coach, let them use your cattle. It's good for them. It's a good class. I like this class good. I think there's good cattle all the way up and down the line. And, yeah, some subtle things you can change and nitpick on the cattle maybe just here and there. But at the end of the day, I'm most comfortable with this heifer starting because not only is she one of the two better looking cattle we've got in here, I think her comfortability is good off either end of her skeleton. She's sure adequate in the way she gets around the ring. I think she's got just a notch more freshness to her than the heifer right behind her, a little cleaner perhaps in terms of her composition. And with that, she's got just a little more striking look to me in relation to the red heifer. This one's bold-bodied. She's big-ended. She's got some pin width, some stoutness as you take her to the ground. I think she ends up being the complete one in this particular class. I like the red heifer too. She's really soft-middled. I like her midrib and her flank. It just doesn't balance quite as well in her underline. She wants to get, they've done a really good job presenting this heifer. She gets a little weaker in her top line. They've tried to pull the hair up there, and I appreciate the archmanship that they've done on this heifer. She's not as genuine in her underneath and in her top line as the heifer we had that leads off the class. I do like her flexibility, though. She can get out and move, cover her track. I'd like to just make her a little stronger in her top and see her balance a little better in her underline. But that's a good pair of cattle. When they stand still, I really gravitate towards the heifer in third. That's why we gave him another pass here. I thought maybe she'd loosen up just a bit, but she didn't. I really like this heifer's look, her boldness, her symmetry, and her quality. Just to be simple in the fact that when we set the cattle in motion, she's the one that struggles the most for me of our initial three. The way she sits down behind, the way she comes up out of her shoulder. I like that cattle's look. I like her balance. I just wish she moved better in relation to her contemporaries up on the top end. The red heifer's really cowy and broody, and again, the kind of Simmental cattle that have kept us in business for a long time. She's moderate, she's easy keeping, she's big barreled. Looks like she can maintain herself on not a lot of supplementation. That works to her disadvantage a little bit out here. It gets a little chuggish up in through her shoulder. Wants to get a little piecier in the way she's designed, like the power, spread, and rib she brings to the table. This is one of the more unique cattle we've had come through the ring, just from a presence standpoint. She's as long as a well rope. She's really extended up through her front end. A lot of things I like about this heifer. You know, she's one that's just a little flatter in terms of her rib, doesn't have as much to her in terms of center body. There is some very, very unique breeding incentive on that particular heifer. There's plenty of bulls. There's catalogs full of them. You can take the power and width and dimension. That heifer's got a really striking presence. I just wish there was more body. She gets a little snug in her forerib as well. This heifer has lots of capacity and volume, no doubt about it. She's a little coarser in the way she's designed. I need to rearrange her hot construction as you watch her go off of her rear skeleton for me. Enormous in terms of her rib shape, big barreled kind of a female, like those things about her. Just got to rework that hind leg for this particular judge. The heifer that closed the class, very fresh compositionally. I appreciate they've kept her lean and green in terms of her makeup. She's going to make a good, sensibly sized cow. She just runs out of stability in her top line and balance from the side to run up in this very competitive class. Good group of females.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 918, late junior yearling females. First place exhibited by Liam Bainan with WCCO Boots 412L. Second place was exhibited by Alyssa Slimmer of Rough Water Cattle. Third place went to Aaron Parson. Fourth place exhibited by Avery Young. Fifth place will go to Boom Boom Bozeman. Sixth place will go to Cassio Valley. And seventh place went to Haley Coble. Now in the ring class at 919, these are early junior yearling heifers. This will be our final class in our junior heifer division.
Another good class, and maybe a little challenging to put together after the heifer we had that wins the class. I think this female gets right away with it from a structure standpoint. Really nice in terms of the angle of her shoulder, good in the construction of her hind leg. Has a strong top in her, and I mean deadly fresh. I like the fact this heifer comes to us in a rig that's green, yet at this stage of the game, you know, she obviously looks like she's starting to belly down a little bit with calf and got some udder, but boy, they've done a good job keeping this one fresh and compositionally correct. Got a nice look about her, and her running gear elevates her and her presence to the top of the class. Nice female there. The red heifer's dense. You talk about one that's bold sprung, big hipped. You like the power she's got in her. With that extra spread and mass, she's just a little rounder in her design in relation to the heifer that wins. But I think she's the second highest quality one. You know, she's one that I think certainly has some breeding incentive from that regard. You get a set of bulls out of her that are robust and powerful and stout like what she is. I think you can certainly generate some profitability with them. Heifer that comes in third is a little more like the class winner when she stands. I think that was the close pair between second and third. I didn't think this one got off of either end of her skeleton as nicely as the red heifer did. She gets a little flatter in terms of her build in relation to the top two. That's a good solid heifer though that's got a neat look, like the freshness that she's got. Just need to rework her hind leg a bit. The red heifer to come out next, got a nice pattern to her. The angle of her shoulder and her hip and her hind leg, we need to loosen her up a bit. But boy, she's got presence. She's very cocky as you study her. I just want to set her back in her shoulder, give her a little more curvature to her knee. That's one of the nicer fourth place cattle, though, we've had all day long. And the heifer that closed the class, a real opened up kind of a female in terms of her body and her rib. Just gets a little bunchy when we ask her to get out and go. Doesn't get out and grab the ground with enough comfort and stability or reach off either end of her skeleton.
Well, congratulations back over in the Simmental ring. Results out of class 919. First place went to Emily Kramer. Second place exhibited by Premier Farm Simmentals. Third place, Annabelle Rapp. Fourth place, Up the Creek Farm. And fifth place went to Mason Sheets. Now in the ring, first and seconds to select the champion reserve, Junior Heifer.
I thought this junior yearling division's been really strong, and we had a lot of depth and quality in both classes. Heifer that wins that first class, we talked about her boldness, her spring of rib, and her power. I thought she was just the most complete heifer we had in that group, and I still think that holds true with her as we look at compared to the red heifer. Got a nice udder design underneath this female. She really gives you a good look. You know, in class, I called her adequate in her structure, and I would pick on her just a little bit and the way she gets off of her shoulder. But again, I think you got to really get nitpicky on that particular heifer because she's got so much presence, so much eye appeal, and so much quality. She beat a good red heifer in second. We talked about I liked her doability, her softness. She's just so loose made that she gets a little weaker in her top line, doesn't balance quite as good in her underline, but still a quality female. The heifer that wins class 2, really like the freshness of this heifer compositionally. I really like the way this heifer's made in terms of her greenness, and yet her look and her extension. A really good set of feet and legs underneath this female as well. A very, very quality heifer there. One that doesn't have as much hair. You know, again, if you want to sort them on hair, she's probably not going to be your favorite out here. But again, that doesn't really bother me a whole lot. We won a lot of shows with plenty of slick-haired cattle before they had the cooler. So it's a good heifer. I like her kind. She balances well. Just hard to pick a big hole in. And a real stout, powerful red heifer there that was behind her. Maybe a little rounder in her muscle shape. But again, a heifer you sure got to appreciate because she can still move well. So this is a good division. I like the heifer out of class 2 to be our champion. Heifer out of class 1 will be our reserve.
And congratulations in the Simmental show. Your champion junior heifer goes to Emily Kramer with SFI AHTHJH lead favorite 309L and reserve champion. And congratulations goes to Liam Bainan with WCCO Boots 412L. We're now going to look for class 922 here in the Simmental ring. These are late senior yearling heifers.
At this point, we want to congratulate in the Angus show, our premier breeder is Circle R Angus, and our premier exhibitor of the Angus show is Allison Scholes. If we could have Circle R Angus and Allison Scholes to the picture area. Congratulations.
It's a good class of big heifers here, and obviously we're getting some age, and these cattle are getting ready to hit the prime of their life here. But heifer that wins the class, you just really have to like a lot of things about. From a freshness standpoint, a body, a mass standpoint, a heifer that still moves with some comfort and some reach off both ends. Again, you know, she's not the most extended one we've seen, but she's plenty good enough for me in terms of her front end. We've talked about it all day long. I think we've maybe taken that a bit far, in my opinion, and that heifer matches. Everything on her is balanced. Everything on her is proportional. She's wide. She's dimensional. She's still got enough femininity. She's very fresh, and she's starting to shake down a good udder. A nice female there to lead off the class. It's a good heifer in second, too. Enormous bodied. I really like her rib cage. I really like this heifer as you get around behind her and look at her in terms of the power that she's got. The difference is I think she runs downhill just a shot in relation to our heifer, ends up being our class winner. She wants to break a little bit more right in behind her shoulder, but those two match up well from a mass and a substance standpoint. I think a very high quality pair of cattle here in this class. Good heifer in third, really roomy middled, a lot of rib, a lot of volume to that heifer, a lot of capacity. Gets a little plainer up and through the way she's made, her ear set, her head, her neck, all those things just probably detract from her, just her look and her elegance a bit. But boy, you'd like to have her for a brood cow. She's productive, she's huge bodied, she's got a big fat hind leg underneath of her that moves well. That's a real solid third place heifer. This Baldy heifer is really typey and very attractive. She just simply gets outmassed by the other cattle that are ahead of her in the class. To be honest with you, and I know it sounds cliche, she could almost fit inside of them just in terms of mass and rib and volume. She's a very, very correct heifer, very, very attractive, very stylish. There's just not enough cattle there. Got a gorgeous udder shaken down. I really like to see those teats and the way they got them carved out. Best fourth place heifer we've had to this point. Nice heifer to come next. Just wants to get a little timid on the way she grabs the surface off either end of her framework. I like her extra shot of length. I like her extra shot of broodiness, even over the heifer that goes right ahead of her. We just got to see her be a little more authoritative in the way that she gets out and travels. This is just a real replacement-driven kind of a female here. You know, she don't blow you away in terms of style and balance, but boy, I'd like to have about 40 of them that look like her in terms of her body, her structure, her utility. She's probably not quite whippy enough out here on the tan bark just in terms of look and eye appeal, but that's just a real functional, real highly doable kind of a heifer from a utility standpoint. I like those things about her. She just runs out of the extra bells and whistles out here. I moved this heifer down, and I did so because of structure. I like her look. I like her extension. She just wants to prance off of her front end and doesn't get stable enough on her hind leg, but still good cattle. This Baldy's really attractive, really typey in her makeup. Like those things about her. Need to rework her skeleton when we ask her to get out and go. The red heifer's got some rib and volume. Wants to shoot her tail head up. We need to mash that down just a bit. And then the black heifer that closes the class, still a nice female. One that has some turnout value, some replacement potential. Just runs out of some of the extras of the cattle we have in a very competitive class. Good set of those junior yearling females.
Well, congratulations in class 922 late senior yearling heifers. First place exhibited by Eli Walther with J-Sol Rosie. Second place went to Emma Woodard. Third place go to Lucas Preciado. Fourth place exhibited by James Hicks. Fifth place went to Mackenzie Mankey. Sixth place Madison Young. Seventh place go to Powell's Valley Simmentals. Eighth place went to Morgan Woodworth. Ninth place, and congratulations, Chelsea Miles of Up the Creek Farm. 10th place, exhibited by Molly Goblet Schubert. Now in the ring will be your final class of 4 division. This is a single entry, class 923, early senior yearling females.
Just a single entry here in our final class. The red heifer, very fresh from a composition standpoint, still fairly athletic as you actually get out and go. Heifer that's got some look to her. They've done a good job of keeping her fresh. Looks like she's going to have a real tidy udder as we get her into production. So nice female to represent our class winner. We'll see her as she stacks up as we get back in this division.
Well, congratulations in class 923. First place went to Powell's Valley Simmentals with PVSM Watermelon Moonshine. We're now going to look to see the first and seconds, and our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg, will select his champion reserve senior heifers. After this division, we are going to go into your grand female drive for our Simmental show.
Well, we come to the close here in our final division, and really a nice set of females. We had a real competitive class, and then a single entry heifer here that sure holds her own. It's got some quality, but out here we're going to keep these two black heifers out of the first class together. They're going to be our grand reserve in this division. Good job to these guys. We'll see them back here in our champion lineup.
Well, congratulations over in the Simmental ring. Your division champion for our senior heifer division, exhibited by Eli Walther with J-Sol Rosie. Reserve division goes to Emma Woodard with WCCO WST Q's Queen Bee. At this time, we'll get the ring cleared and get started with your grand drive of our Simmental Female Show here at the Keystone International Livestock Exposition. We'd like to take a moment to thank some of the sponsors of the Keystone International Livestock Exposition. A special thank you to EMM Sales and Service for sponsoring the Supreme Champion Heifer trailer, as well as $1,000 for our Supreme Champion Bull. Special thank you to Umbarger Feeds, Campbell Land and Cattle, and Schaefer Show Cattle for sponsoring the webcast here with us this weekend. Also, thank you to PA Beef Working Group, Taggart Cattle Company, PA Center for Beef Excellence, PA Cattlemen's Association, Kate's Farm and Sunrise Sunset Farm, Fulton Valley Ag Services, LLC. Again, thank you to the sponsors that make our show possible. At this time in the Simmental ring, we're bringing in all of your division champions and reserves. Our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg, will be selecting the grand and reserve grand champion female here at Kyle. Coming in out of the first division, champion was exhibited by Tim Schaefer Show Cattle with J-Sol Special Rose 4201M. Reserve in that division exhibited by Holscher Cattle Company. Coming in out of your next division, your champion was exhibited by McKaylin Helmke with JS Dairy Queen 87L, and reserve champion, congratulations, went to Alexis Wright. Coming in out of the intermediate division, your champion exhibited by Alyssa Slimmer with BCR Caliente L149, and reserve champion and congratulations went to Isabel Smithson. Coming in out of the next division, your champion junior heifer was exhibited by Emily Kramer with SFI AHTHJH lead favorite 309L. And reserve and congratulations in that division was exhibited by Liam Bainan. Coming in out of your next division for our Simmental Female Show champion was exhibited by Eli Walther with J-Sol Rosie. And reserve champion and congratulations in that final division goes to Emma Woodard with WCCO WSTQ's Queen Bee 216L. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our open Simmental female exhibitors here at the Keystone International Livestock Exposition. We'd also like to take a moment and thank our judge this morning, Dr. Blake Bloomberg of Secor, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Blake Bloomberg.
Let's give our purebred Simmental exhibitors a good round of applause, if you will. We got a good crowd gathered in. Let's show them our appreciation. It's a good show. Man, it's not easy to get them and to get them like this. And I've been in the Simmental business my whole life, and you know the breed is on fire right now, and we got a lot of really good breeders and a lot of really good cattle, and it makes it very competitive. You know, I thought the show was excellent. You know, I didn't know what to expect. I was in Arkansas yesterday with my judging team, and I flew in last night. I got in about 3 a.m., so I'm maybe just a little tired, but there's some cattle out here that get you kind of ramped up. You know, for like I talked about in the Low Semi show, and that's what we kind of focus on showing with my kids, but this is where our bread and butter is made at home with my brother and myself and our operation. And, you know, so purebred cattle is what we grew up with, and purebred cattle is what we make our living with. Well, he does. I don't. I'm a school teacher, as you can tell by my body type. I don't do as much physical labor maybe as he does, but you know, when I think about how these cattle are bred, that's what goes through my mind. And I asked Cliff after a few of these divisions, I was just curious what they're sired by, because you know, you think about mating options and using some different bulls, and I think the quality is excellent out here. You know, there's give and take, and I know not everybody ever agrees, and the judge is the dumbest person on the face of the earth. I understand how things go. But if you know me, I got a pretty strong opinion, and again, you're not going to faze me a whole lot. I was raised by Mary Bloomberg, so you can say whatever you want to me. It doesn't matter. But I would be very complimentary to the quality of the cattle that have been out here. They're really, really good. And if you think that you got a better one, maybe you do, but it's hard to get them to look like this. And we had some close calls, but I think there's 3 or 4 of these cattle, 5 of them that really rise to the top. Not only are they good here, but they can go on to the next level and really do some damage. So I appreciate the opportunity. I know we got some other shows to get to. Our Grand, to me, is one that's just really hard to make. When you make them with this kind of body, this kind of stoutness, you keep them this fresh, you know, you're going to bring them like this to me, you're going to do pretty good. I like calves. I like senior calves, but when they got yearlings like this one here, she's going to be our champion. This heifer out of the last division be our Grand. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations, Grand Champion Simmental female here at the Keystone International Livestock Exposition. Congratulations, Eli Walther and J-Sol Rosie. Reserve in that division was exhibited by Emma Woodard.
Here I think is where you got to make some decisions, because the big yearling here I like a lot of things about. We talked about, you know, she's probably just not as elegant as our heifer that ends up winning up and through her front end. She's huge bodied, she's really stout, really powerful. The freshest one here comes out of D4. I really like the look and the athleticism. Is there enough heifer? A really neat, attractive baldy here that I think gets right in the mix. You know, I'd like to loosen her up just a shade, but I really like that heifer's balance and her presence. A good senior calf, a lot of rib and a lot of volume to her. And then we got a heifer calf that's just a screamer from the side in terms of her balance and her eye appeal. And again, you know, I'm not a big calf user, but I think that one gets right in the mix because of her look and her eye appeal. And again, my second favorite one, you got to pick the one that you like. And, you know, again, you can't pick on them because of age. I like the heifer calf. She's going to be our reserve champion. Congratulations.
And congratulations, Reserve Grand Champion goes to Tim Schaefer Show Cattle with S&S TSSC Something to See. Again, congratulations, all of our Simmental female exhibitors. We are going to get started with your bull show here in just a moment. We'll be looking for bulls at ringside. Simmental bulls is your call to ringside.
Nice February bull here to start off our purebred bull show. Big bodied, got a nice look about him. A bull that's square out of his hip. He's got some internal dimension and still moves with some comfort. Don't know what we have coming, but this is a nice way to start off. It's a high quality bull. Good job to you.
Well, congratulations in our first class of Simmental bulls. First place go to TASF Maverick M001, exhibited by Thomas and Son Farms. We're now going to welcome in class 932. These are junior bull calves born January of 2024.
Good set of bulls here in this class. I'm going to leave them like they come in and use the bull up here in the front to lead off. A little more thickness, a little more dimension in this bull as you get onto him down his top and out of his hip. I would like to clean up his sheath just a little bit, but I think he's got more look and more presence. The bull behind him's got a lot of look too. He's just not quite as wide, not quite as powerfully constructed as the bull we lead off the class. A little bigger testicle here underneath the bull that comes in two. You get up on top of him, though, he just flattens a little more at the top side of his skeleton and out of his hip. Those are two nice bulls here to lead off. Bull in third, real opened up kind of a cattle, one that's got some dimension to him, a bull that's really unique in terms of his head and his neck. He just doesn't piece together quite as nicely as the pair of bulls that beat him in the class, but a real solid third place bull here. Good trio of calves.
Well, congratulations in our second class of Simmental bulls. First place will go to Premier Farm Simmentals with BPF Pack a Punch. Second place and congratulations goes to SVJ Farm. And third place go to Ott Hay and Cattle. We'll now welcome in the first and second selected champion reserve junior bull calf.
Nice set of bulls here in our bull calf division, but kind of a standout in my opinion. It's going to lead off this division. This is a good bull. A lot of quality to this bull. He's big-bodied. He's got an easy keeping look about him, one that's still sound on his feet and legs. Bull up in the front is going to be our champion in this division. A very competitive pair of bulls there out of Class 2. I thought we're close. We'll slide this bull here that wins the class in for reserve. Good set of bulls here in our bull calf division. Congratulations.
Well, congratulations, champion junior bull calf, exhibited by Premier Farm Simmentals, and reserve champion go to SVJ Farm. Now in the ring will be class 943. These are late junior yearling bulls.
Good set of bulls here in this class. This class winner is a standout in this particular group. Really a stout featured bull that's got a neat look about him. He's really muscular as you get up on top of him. Bull that handles himself good on his feet and legs. A bull that's, again, really nice from a condition standpoint. A bull's not too fat. He's really in the right rig for me. A huge-footed, huge bone bull that's got a neat look about him. That's a quality individual to lead off the class. And then from there on, I think you can jumble these next three depending on where you want to set some priorities. The skirt bull, to me, a little more body, a little more midrib in him. I think just a little more comfortable as you take him to the ground. I thought just a little more softness, not in the same league as the bull that wins the class in terms of substance and strength. Snip-nosed baldy bull here has got a neat pattern to him. Like to soften him up a little bit in his ankle and in his rear body, but he's got a little nicer presence to him and balance than the bull closes. The bull that closes probably has a little more center body, and I think you could swap that pair. He's a little stouter featured. He wants to get up on his front pastern, or up on his front feet just a little bit. He doesn't handle himself quite as good. He's probably just a bit more disappointing as you get on top of the cattle as well. Good set of bulls and a nice winner.
Well, congratulations in Class 943 late junior yearling bulls. First place to go to Aaron Parson with Pays to Win. Second place and congratulations goes to Jacob Mankey with Stars Dominator L18. Third place was exhibited by Tom Smith of TP Cattle Services. And fourth place will go to Colt Harward. Now in the ring, we'll bring in your final class before division. This is Class 944 early junior yearling bulls.
Another really nice single entry bull here. We've really had a lot of quality in this purebred bull show and not a lot of numbers, but certainly been good. The percentages were too. This bull's muscular, he's shapely, he's got a real neat look about him. I like where his crest sits on there. A bull that's sure adequate in the way that he gets around and travels. You study him in terms of his lines and his presence, and then you like the fact that he's manly. He's got some ocular width, some stoutness of jaw, looks like a bull. He's very masculine. So we're going to have a nice lineup here as we get them all back gathered, wrangled around here together. It's a good bull here as well.
Congratulations in Class 944. First place to go to Wise One-Eyed Willie, exhibited by Michaelin Helmke. We're now going to bring in the first and second selected champion reserve junior bull.
Really like all these bulls. We had a good class there, 4 bulls and then a single entry. And bull that wins that first class, we talked about his dimension, his foot size, his bone work, his agility, and then he really streamlined from the side in terms of his presence. A nice bull there. And then a bull that looks a lot like him that stands out of the second class in terms of muscle, thickness, dimension, and look. You know, he's probably not quite as flexible as the bull that up in the front, but I really like that bull as well. That's a very high caliber pair of bulls. Not to take anything away from the bull in second there behind him, but it comes down to these 2 class winners, but still pretty comfortably this bull up out of the first class is going to be our champion. The bull behind him that was a single entry is going to be reserved. Let's show them our appreciation. 2 very good yearling bulls.
Well, congratulations in our junior bull division. Your champion exhibited by Aaron Parson with Pays to Win, and reserve champion go to Michaelin Helmke with Wise One-Eyed Willie. We're now going to welcome in Class 947. These are senior yearling bulls. We're going to bring in both those single entries for division. First place in Class 947 will be Charles and Whitney Lee with CWL Simmentals, and first place in Class 949 will be Madison Young. We're now going to bring both those first placings in to select our final division of Simmental Bulls.
It's a really nice pair of senior bulls here, and I think both of them are very good and have some useful things about them. We'll just talk about them both. The Baldy bull there is one that's tremendously muscular and powerful. As you get up on top of him, he is packing some heat in any direction you want to look at him. In terms of his forearm, his top side spread out of his hip, that bull's got great big paws underneath of him as well, and still moves with some comfort and some reach off both ends. A really neat presence about that bull as well. As you study him, he looks like a herd bull, but he's still got some look, really opened up in terms of internal dimension and power. The Red Bull's one that, again, is tremendously muscular as well. I like his substance. I like his stoutness of feature. He, too, is a bull that's got some rib. He's got some mass. He's got some substance and strength to him. You know, is he quite as neat maybe as the bull behind him up front? He's not, but boy, that one's wide open in terms of his framework. He, too, moves really well. It's a really nice pair of bulls. Use the Baldy to be the division champion. The Red Bull's going to be reserved, but that's an excellent pair of bulls here in this final division.
Well, congratulations in our final division of Simmental Bulls. Your champion will go to LLW Card Compass 086K, exhibited by Madison Young, and reserve champion. And congratulations, CWL Simmentals, Charles and Whitney Lee. We're now going to bring in all of those division champion and reserves, and our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg, will select his grand and reserve grand champion, Simmental Bulls.
Give our Simmental bull exhibitors a good round of applause, if you would. We only had 10 bulls, but I thought it's been very, very good. This guy over here to my right showed some of the best bulls in the breed for a long time, and he raises good cattle. And, you know, again, I judged some of those bulls over time, and we used some of those bulls over time. But we're in a time and day now where it's hard to find bulls because of IVF and just nobody wants to show them. But, you know, there's some bulls out here that I think are certainly high caliber, bulls that can be utilized in the next generation. And you got to sit in here as a breeder and find bulls that you like. There were some bulls over time that got beat in the show ring that we utilized a lot in our operations. And again, don't let me dictate to you what you need to do as a breeder. The bull calf is a good bull. I like his rib, I like his flank, and actually he come in and I thought, well, we're going to have a really nice bull here. And I didn't know what we had coming behind him. But he's very, very high quality. He's big testicled. He moves well. It's a very useful kind of a bull. Bull out of the middle division, huge feet. I love his foot and his bone. He's so agile in the move, so good in terms of his lines and his quality. That bull looks like he's been out covering some cows. Either that or they've kept him really fresh if they didn't let him cover some cows. That's a very, very good bull in terms of his top line, his head and neck set. He's the right kind of bull in my opinion. And then the bull that wins that last division, you talk about just a Mack truck in terms of dimension and stoutness and horsepower. That bull's got still a really neat look about him. He's a 2-year-old bull out here, one that's just got a great look about him. He's opened up in his rib cage. He's powerful. You could probably change him just a nickel on his hind leg if you want to get critical. But boy, that bull looks like he can get out, cover some cows, and do you some good. So we got good seconds as well. The bull calf is nice. The bull out of the middle division, really good standing still. We need to loosen him up a bit. This Red Bull balanced up just a little better on the move. He's one that's got some tremendous opportunity to improve the next generation as well. So, you know, again, some people say you're blowing smoke, but I would tell you that these bulls are really, really good. And you do as much traveling and judging as I do. It's hard to find bulls that fit together like this. And it's really hard to find bulls that make you want to stand up and say, man, what's that one? Because, you know, sometimes we don't show them as much as we should. But this is a really, really competitive set of bulls. So as a breeder, it tickles me to see them out here because I think there's things you can utilize. Let's, again, give them and show them our appreciation. I've really enjoyed the Simmental and the Sim Angus show. But our champion bull today comes out of this middle division. He's going to be our grand. Congratulations to him. You bring that bull in that was reserved in that division. We talked about his look and his eye appeal. Need to make him just a nickel better in terms of his movement if you want to get critical, in terms of his flex, but still a very high quality individual. I still think it's close. There's another one out here that I think just has a lot of uniqueness to him. He's not perfect, but I think there's a lot of good in this bull. He's opened up, he's husky, he's stout, he's big, and he's made it this far. This older bull here is going to be our reserve grand. Congratulations to our.
Well, congratulations in the Simmental ring, your grand champion Simmental bull here at the Keystone International Livestock Exposition, exhibited by Aaron Parson with Pays to Win and reserve champion. And congratulations goes to LLW card Compass 086K, exhibited by Madison Young. Again, congratulations to all of our Open Simmental exhibitors, and a special thank you to our judge, Dr. Blake Bloomberg. Well, congratulations. Your first place Pro to Sedan will go to Charles and Whitney Lee of CWL Simmentals. Again, congratulations to our Simmental exhibitors, and a thank you to Dr. Blake Bloomberg.